Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, ECI family, community. I would like to wish you all, first of all, a very wonderful morning. Then I would like to say 1,000 thanks. First to the panelists, to the chair people, and to the participants, all of you. Thank you very much for joining us. I think we will have really a great event and a great day today. My next thanks is addressed to the co-organizers, the Federal Ministry of the Interior, the Federal Ministry for European and International Affairs, and to the Federal Chancellery, and to ECAS. Tony Venables right over here. So thank you very much, all of you. Just some organizational things. First of all, our State Secretary apologizes. He got another very important task for this morning. He is substituted by the Deputy Minister, Director General Vogel. You cordially welcome. Then another thing, we have option for translation. Betty Torbisch makes English, German, German, English, and Andres Laszlo makes a lot of languages, including Hungarian, English, French, Dutch, Flemish, and some other languages. And if you would like to address in one of these named languages, just give us a sign and we connect you to our interpreters, and they will put your question, whatever, send a statement into English, and we'll translate it back then. So I think it is, the floor is open to our chairman, Gerald Häfner, member of the European Parliament. Gerald, it's your...
Good morning. Should I stay here? Or yeah, okay. Good morning, all. So if you, in these days, travel around in Europe, if you go to places in Europe, especially in Southern Europe, then you can see people on the streets demonstrating nearly every day. You can also see a lot of violence. You can see the problem that in Europe we have to take very harsh measures, but very often citizens feel not being part of the decisions. They are feeling that they are the victims of decisions taken somewhere else. And this is the basic question for all democracies. What can we do so that people see that this community, this country, that this Europe is there. It's their Europe. It's not the Europe of institutions. It's not the Europe of politicians. It's the Europe of citizens. So what we have to find is ways where people can express themselves other than through violence. We have to find ways where we can have a discourse on the future of Europe, not only within the institutions, but with the citizens and within the society, so between citizens, NGOs, and so on. And that these discourses are not completely separated from each other, one within the institutions and one between citizens, but that there is a close link of these both discourses. The European Citizen Initiative did not fall from heaven, did not just emerge. The European Citizen was a project, an idea that was developed within a small group of people, Eurotopia, Initiative and Referendum Institute, Mehr Demokratie. We together then organized the ECI campaign. We made this proposal to introduce into the European treaties, to introduce into the planned European Constitution instruments for the citizens, where citizens can raise their voice, where citizens have a foot in the door in Brussels politics, where they have a say on the agenda, on what is treated with. So this was the idea of the European Citizen Initiative. And from that time, it took a long way until today. The first thing was the European Convention, where it was adopted not exactly in the wording that we proposed it. It was a bit more reluctant, a bit more restrained. But anyway, it was in the treaties. And then it took 9 years until we started working on the regulation within the European Parliament. And soll ich vorstellen? Yeah, but I think I should go on with that and then, yeah. Sorry, I just lost the thought. It was within the convention where many discourses were held on how can we do that, how can we integrate it into the Lisbon Treaty, and then it was within the European Parliament and in the Commission where we worked on the regulation. In the end, there was the trilogue where many things were changed, where it was a compromise between Parliament, Commission and the Council, and then it came into force 1st of April this year. And the idea is, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity today to see how it works. Does it work or not? What can we improve? What has to be improved in the future? What can we do that it works better? My problem is now that could you just do that or tell me whom I should introduce? Because I now here I should introduce our very, very...
We have 2 introductions, one from the State Secretary, Deputy Minister, and some words of my own, and then the panel should start on the chair to discuss the issues. So,
exactly, that's what I thought. But maybe it's my mistake, because I thought I should already begin. I was wondering why this didn't happen. It's a misunderstanding. I'm very sorry for that. So then now it's
Deputy Minister Vogel.
Deputy Minister Vogel, and I give the floor to you. And we thank you very much. Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, first of all, I have to apologize the absence of our State Secretary Sebastian Kurz. He has caught a cold and he's today not able to speak to you. But I have to give you his best regards. He's very sorry that he is not able to give you a notice. For me, it's a great pleasure to take the ability to welcome you to this beautiful city and to this conference for 2 reasons. First of all, I'm Director General for all legal affairs and also for the electoral affairs within this ministry. And second of all, I'm first Deputy Chair of our Federal Electoral Board since many years. And so I've been involved not only in electoral matters in any way, but also in the preparation of the European Citizens Initiative for a number of years. When this initiative was officially launched on 1st April 2012, this was a breakthrough for citizens' participation on the European level. Never before in the history of the European Union, citizens had a comparable tool in their hands to directly interact with the European Commission and bring hot issues on the Union's agenda. According to Article 11, Paragraph 4 of the Treaty of the European Union, not less than 1 million citizens who are nationals of a significant number of member states may take the initiative of inviting the Commission within the framework of its power to submit any appropriate proposal on matters where citizens consider it that a legal act of the Union is required for the purpose of implementing the treaties. The significant number of member states is given if a citizens' committee composed of at least 7 citizens residing in at least 7 different member states is formed. Only individuals, no organizations, can furnish a citizens' initiative. Austria was one of that countries getting particularly engaged in the development of the European Citizens' Initiative right from the start. Be it in high-level area, fora, experts groups, or also on the academic level. One of the reasons for the strong interest in this initiative is Austria's long-term experience with public initiatives, the so-called Volksbegehren. To date, 35 public initiatives have been organized in our Second Republic. A number of them received a lot of public attention and led to further political deliberations or even to legislative steps. Instruments of direct democracy are of growing importance in countries all over the world. People raise their voices and communicate with authorities and politicians in many different ways. Also by using electronic devices and social media. The impact of new technologies became obvious in last year's political changes in a number of countries in North Africa and in the Middle East, known as the so-called Arab Spring. With computers and the internet constantly gaining influence in all aspects of our lives, it is only natural to also start discussing possibilities to enable citizens to use these tools for initiatives or even for elections. We already get used to interacting with administrative authorities by emailing them, by submitting online forms, or by electronically signing documents. While e-government is meanwhile part of our daily life, electronic participation or e-participation is one of the new hot topics, which must not be ignored by policymakers. In the spring of this year, the Federal Ministry of the Interior initiated preparations for a far-reaching democracy package. Maybe you have read in a newspaper. Within the framework of such a reform, specific participatory tools could be strengthened, and the use of electronic technology should be considered. The Austrian Vice-Chancellor, Michael Spindlecker, recently announced plans of the federal government to introduce a new centralized and computerized election register in the future. This register is also planned in my department for electoral affairs. Such a register that is a nationwide online database for all voters may also open the doors for a new form of electronic participation. The ECI is the first European instrument that provides the possibility for e-participation. Statements of support can be equally given on a paper or online. Ladies and gentlemen, as Commission Vice President Maroš Šefčovič emphasized in a meeting in Brussels on Tuesday, the instrument of the European Citizen Initiative is still in a status of development. Not everything is entire user-friendly. yet. Some legal and technical issues are still in the works. Particularly, the maintenance of online collecting systems has so far proved difficult for a number of organizers. It is probably not surprising that not everything can start out perfectly when introducing such a historic instrument of direct citizens' participations in the European Union. On the other hand, the experience to date have already shown keen interest among citizens to come up with proposals for the European Commissions. As of this week, 21 ECIs were submitted to the European Commission and 11 ECIs were registered. Only 7 of them were rejected as their scope was manifestly outside the European Commission's competences. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the Austrian law, the Federal Electoral Board, in German called Bundeswahlbehörde, is the competent authority both for the verification of statements of support and the certification of online collection systems. The administrative backbone of the Federal Electoral Board is the Department of Electoral Affairs in the Federal Ministry of Interior. Hence, the head and deputy of this department, Mr. Robert Stein, will provide an insight into Austrian's administrative workflow within the framework of today's conference. Conferences such as this one are essential in bringing citizens, administrators, policymakers together. They enable us to learn from each other, and with the food for thought collecting during the sessions, our ultimate goal will come into reach. Our ultimate goal to strengthen participative instruments, especially the European Citizens' Initiative. I look forward to the results of today's meeting and wish you fruitful and successful discussions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister Vogel, and I apologize again for my mistake in the beginning. I also thank you for this opportunity to meet here in the Ministry. Without you and without Johannes Pichler, this event could not happen the way it does. So I now introduce Johannes Pichler, Professor Johannes Pichler, from the director of the Austrian Institute for European Law and Study, who made all this possible and who works on this idea and on the realization of the European Citizen Initiative for a long time. Johannes.
Thank you, Gerald. And once again, I apologize the little mess I've made. It was my fault. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm sure it was mine.
We have heard from Gerald Hefner that the ECI is the result of a long, long way. And it's true, optimizing democracy and enhancing citizens' participation in the political life of the European Union has been a very long and still ongoing process for the purpose of decreasing the legitimacy gap, the deficiencies of the Union. There was always over years talk about direct democracy, participatory democracy, and this was, and there was one point that the convention dreamed of, a European referendum right. But more modest assembly members, they looked for another instrument, and this is what we call for participatory democracy, and this is the reason why we've got a so-called principle of participatory democracy, which was finally enshrined in the Constitution Treaty, Article 147. But then, as we all know, dissipated along with the disappearance of the high-flying idea of a constitution. Then came the bit disillusioning Lisbon era, but the ECI parliamentarian quadriga, one of them is our Gerhard Häfner, did not give up their guardian role. And remarkably enough, the participation articles in the Lisbon version of the treaties, Article 11, remained exactly the same in substance, with perfectly identical wording as those original ornate formal principles. So we can actually think about that we have still a principle of participatory democracy in our non-constitution. Since April, one of these new participatory instruments between Article 11.1 and 11.4, the European Citizens Initiative, is available and has provided EU citizens with an opportunity to directly shape, or at least to try to shape, the political future of the Union. This offers important means of transnational participation primarily, while additionally offering the option of bringing together new opportunities for information, consultation, and dialogue for those who wish to have a political dialogue at the EU level. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we celebrate half a year of ECI in action. In this half a year, we have seen much pan-European engagement through this new instrument, but however, as matters sometimes turn out quite differently in practice from what was expected by the architects, Gerhard, we have also seen a lot of challenges and problems. Therefore, we are not partying today. Definitely not. Neither are we acting very enthusiastically. No, we will behave in an evaluative way. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Minister reported on the Austrian situation, it is really, right at the moment, there's a very good climate all across Europe for implementing more direct democracy, more participation, and it is high season for enhancing, therefore, all participatory democracy instruments. By the way, by a very, very good reason. The representative democracy urgently needs assistance from the sovereign. Recent polls from just the last few days in Austria show with an unexpected, overwhelming political commitment from the citizens' side to be back in the political town given appropriate, viable, direct democratic channels. Let me ask, has this political European wave reached the European federal triangle between the Berlaymont, Lipsius, and Espace-Leopold? And could we use this pan-European spirit for boosting the ECI? Does this regulation, which we are talking about today, really work in a highly proactive and flourishing way in favor of attracting the Europeans in the masses? So, as to ask in other words, is it a proactive regulation? On the other hand, we will ask initiators whether wrong expectations on their side could have existed here or there, even if some of them, honestly spoken, formulated brilliant proposals. They often did not have sufficient resources and the capacity to make it through the process. And how are the 11, it's since yesterday 12, how are the 12 initiatives actually doing? How are they coping with the legal requirements and the technical instruments? What about their campaigning? Are they synergetically organized with the other initiatives? Do they cooperate? Do they share their experience? Do they support each other? Can we speak of a European ECI community? What about the initiatives which were turned down? Will they relaunch? What is with their lacks and failures? And next point, do the political core contents of the issues impact the strategy? What about a cluster building of initiatives? It is not easy to classify initiatives or to categorize them. However, we can see kinds of groups. Some initiatives have a clear ecological goal. Some are more economy related, some have a rather institutional issue in common, and some have a humanitarian or human rights based approach. Little wonder, until now, not one so-called pure constitutional initiative has applied for admittance. No wonder, we know why. The Commission would have to refuse such an initiative anyway. Because, you know, an ECI of this kind would not be about implementing the treaties, but amending the treaties. And this is not foreseen in the regulation. However, in truth, I personally would not be shy to try to run a constitutional initiative. But then, and of course calculating in to get a refusal by the Commission, but then submitting the case to the court immediately. This European Court and maybe the Court of Justice are full of surprises ever since the days, for example, the Van Gent and Loos case or the Costa Enel case. You can see that I have a slightly different, diverse view on the whole functioning and role and its goals and means of the ECI and its political dimensions. However, ladies and gentlemen, question after question, let us find some answers now within the coming hours of reflection. Let us do that openly and in all honesty. Thank you so much. Gerald.
Thank you very much, Johannes Pichler. And Johannes Pichler has given an overview of why we do this conference here and what the questions are also for our first panel. I would like to invite now all the panelists for the first panel to come up here to the panel. And in the meantime, I will only say a few words because it was most of the questions I think were already brilliantly asked by Johannes Pichler. So if we look at Europe now, we find big discussions in and between the institutions on the future of the treaties, on economic governance and so on. But we see no ECI on that. This has to do with the regulation and with the wording in the treaties. So what we promised to the citizens was that we want to give citizens a say on what their concerns are, their proposals are, but at the same time we limited what peoples are allowed to say to the Commission, to the Parliament, to the institutions. We have to discuss whether this was a wise decision. And the second thing is, how does the regulation actually work? How does the online collection work? How is it with registration? What are the real experiences that those people make who discuss, think about, and then start a European citizen initiative? And for that, we have invited initiators of such initiatives. So I would introduce, I'm just looking, Klaus Kastenhofer. Klaus Kastenhofer from the initiative My Voice Against Nuclear Power. Bengt Beyer from the initiative Europeans for Fair Roaming. Simone Bronskute, is it right? Bronskute. From Fraternité 2020 or 2020. Gaël Drillon from the ECI Responsible Management of Waste. And Vincent Chauvet from the One Single Tariff Initiative. I was informed that Filippo Vari from the ECI, one of us, and Christian Meidlinger from the Water is a human right, ECI, informed us that they could not attend. I'm sorry on that, but we have very interesting initiatives here on the panel, and I would now ask all of you to shortly introduce your initiative, but mostly to not speak about the initiative in the sense of the content, but in the sense of the experience you made with admission, certification, validation, with all that is required to start an ECI, and at the same time, in a way also to keep in mind some of the questions that Johannes Pichler has raised. So, for example, the question, how is it with the contact between the initiatives? Because you all have to tackle the same regulation, the same problems. Do you cooperate? Do you help each other? How is it with problems that you see in your work? How is the relation to the Commission? And all that. And we do not only have initiatives here on the panel, we also have Robert Stein here on the panel, the Director, Head of Department of Electoral Affairs in the Austrian Ministry, Federal Ministry of the Interior, the Austrian ECI official, I would say, the one who deals with that for a long time from the Austrian side. And we have Charlotte Rive here. Where is Charlotte? Yes, Charlotte. From the European Commission, from the Secretariat General. And she also is the one, or one of, yes, she is the one to decide within the Commission on these things, to have the contact together with some other people in the Commission on these issues, with all the initiatives. And this gives us a wonderful opportunity to have the different sides, the different perspectives on one panel, to exchange views. And the idea is that after the contributions from the panelists, there should be time for questions and discussion within the whole plenary. So I would ask Klaus Kastenhofer to start.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy that all of you came to Austria, made it very easy for myself. I cannot say the same for our ECI, but still I think we could take a first look at all of us and all the ideas which are represented in this room, and call the ECI to some extent a success, because it created space for, I think, very interesting, very proactive people to meet, and also for very interesting ideas to create awareness what could be done in a political space. And I think to some extent I was asked to mainly talk about process and not so much about content. There is some success, and some of the ideas Gerald Hefner already talked about in his introductory speech, I think are getting enlivened. But on the other hand, I think I have to take a very cautious approach. If I would ask my grandmother or my neighbor where I live, if she knows about any ECI presented so far, and if anybody, and Global 2000 is an Austrian NGO, Friends of the Earth Austria, if I ask anybody out there on the street, if he or she has the feeling that now she has a greater potential to participate in European policy, I will leave the answer to you, but I would be very cautious that there is any change in public mood concerning that. So I think there is a first step taken, but in the long run there's a lot of work to be done to really get a participative approach done on the European level. And one thing I would like to stress, if you want participative democracy, you also have to be prepared to provide space for awareness, what is to be talked about and what has to be decided about. And I think this is one of the main lacks of the ECI as presented right now. There's no, from the European Union side, provided space for for getting awareness for a specific ECI. And I think this is a tremendous task for the proponents of an ECI, for the organizers of an ECI, to get your ECI received all over the European countries. If we did already with our ECI a campaign this summer, it did not get registered so far. Still, we did some awareness raising. We invested about 30,000 euros in Austria in doing a media campaign on our ECI. If I would do an opinion poll, just in Austria, and we invested the money just in Austria, how many people in Austria know about our ECI? I would think the results would be disastrous. And how do the organizers of the ECI, how does the European Commission envision that if you create the hope within the people that you can engage on a European level, and afterwards you do not provide the measures to get this job done, how this hope will not get frustrated in the end and enlarge the space between the European bureaucracy on the one side and on the people out there on the other side. And if this problem does not get solved, I think we are facing a serious problem. I do not want to paint the devil on the wall, as you say in Austria, but still I think we have to keep that in mind, and I think maybe the ECI will take off. But so far I don't think it has taken off. And I think those 11 or 12 ECIs registered so far are not knowledgeable, are not known about within Europe, and do not get the real chance to create space for participative democracy. I see furthermore the risk that it's kind of a sleeping pill for the public. Now you have this right, it's your task to fill it, and we can sit back in our chairs in Brussels and don't do anything anymore because this right has been given anyhow. And furthermore, I think there's the risk that you create a new bureaucracy, which is maybe some NGOs who have the capacity to campaign European-wide, but that is not, what I think is the spirit, what is the ghost of an ECI, that the public gets the chance to have the say. It's just a delegation of the problem, maybe from the European bureaucracy to a new bureaucracy within NGOs. And I personally, that's not the way I like to work. I would like to work with the people and not be the one they have to come to get themselves heard. I think this is not a position an NGO should have. And furthermore, I think there's a risk. It's not a lot of NGOs, maybe some unions, maybe some big environmental NGOs who could possibly, if they want to, take over this task. I think the other solution would be money. So I think if I want to get an ECI really get acknowledged all over Europe, I need a lot of money for advertisement, whatever. And I think there's maybe economy or industry who could provide this money. So I think there's a serious problem as it is done right now, that an ECI is hijacked by those who can provide the money and not coming from the people. And I think there has to be a solution for that. And the solution I envision in that regard is there has to be within some ethical regulation or whatever, advertisement space or publishing space provided by the European Union for the ECIs to really get acknowledged all over Europe and to really create this discussion we want to have. If that does not happen, I think we will run into serious trouble. And responding on what Mr. Pichler and also Mr. Hefner said, I think we should try to go to do an ECI on the ECI itself. And Global 2000 would be prepared to do that if we find enough people who share those thoughts and are willing to work on that. I think we can do that, and I think it would be very interesting.
Just to inform you, Carstenberg is running.
Carstenhofer, yes. I provided with us, and I do not want to talk about it, but because it's too much content. The internal documents we have so far received. We did an ECI anti-nuclear one. We tried to get registered in April, but we did not get registered. So I will talk 1 minute about process. After we have been refused, I think it was wrongfully so, but we did not decide to go to the European Court of Justice immediately. We asked for access to documents, so to get all internal documents which related to our refusal. We have the documents here with us, 10 copies. I hope that's enough. And also engaged into talks, informal talks with the European Commission, what they think we should change for resubmission. Yesterday I got the answer from the European Commission, who now, and maybe Charlotte Reeve thinks differently, we got the feeling we just changed some minor wordings. Not the overall spirit of our ECI, and now we got an informal, and I would like to stress that an informal okay for our ECI, which does not say if the formal process will also mean a yes. But that's the status of our ECI right now. We can talk a lot about what has to be done to get an ECI, to get people to know your ECI, and that this is a tremendous task. We also know a lot about how bureaucracy works. It's not always easy, but on the other hand, we have been provided help, and we will resubmit sometime this autumn. So, thank you so far.
Thank you, Klaus Kastenhofer, also for your clear questions and positions. We will keep them in mind when we go on now. Now it's Bengt Beyer. And Bengt, you are here for the Europeans for free roaming, but you withdrew your initiative. So you surely will tell us about why and what and all that.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Gerald. As is just said, my name is Bengt Beyer, and I represent Europeans for Fair Roaming. And as I also happen to be one of the organizers of today's conference, I would just like to welcome all of you and thank all of you for coming here. It's really nice to have so many people listening here, participating actively. This is great. Next, bitte. Alex. I'm presenting the citizen-led campaign Europeans for Fair Roaming. Now, as Gerald already said, this should not be confused with the ECI One Single Tariff, which also is an ECI on roaming. That's being presented by Vincent Chauvet, who is also here, so we'll hear about this later. We're different groups, and unlike Vincent, we decided not to launch an ECI, even though originally our campaign was planned to become an ECI. What we did do, though, was we built a network of about 150,000 people, 20 associations, and 14 MEPs. Originally, this was intended or had the goal of preparing an ECI, but we then decided that we would rather go the, let's say, traditional way, do what you'd call traditional lobbying to get our goals through. Because, well, for several reasons. One of those I will explain in detail on the next slide. But the hurdles for ECIs, the insecurity that is there at the moment, which we'll also hear about later on, are quite high. And in our opinion, and considering the timing, an ECI on roaming at the moment didn't make, well, wasn't as effective as it would need to be, very simply so. Okay, next slide. Now, why after 2 years of work and several thousand euros we put into this, did we decide not to launch an ECI? The main reason is this somewhat complicated graphics you're seeing here. Basically, lawmaking is circular. In political science, we call this the policy circle. And you see this here, the lawmaking phase is marked in orange, whereas the time where the law is just in force is in blue. Even though, in fact, the blue area should be bigger because obviously the law is in force for a longer time than it's actually being made. In the case of roaming, the review of the roaming regulation just ended in July. The new roaming regulation is in force since July. And this means that until 2016 at least, there will be no review of the roaming regulation at all. This is actually specified in the regulation. So until 2016, the Commission is not going to open this again and to make any changes to it. Now, the thing is, if you really want to influence lawmaking with an ECI or with any other campaign, timing and preparation are really crucial. This means if an issue is already regulated by the EU, you have to plan backwards. That means you have to, your campaign has to conclude, and hopefully successfully conclude, at the time when a regulation is put up for review again. No other time. It shouldn't be a long time before, it shouldn't be a long time after, it should be exactly at the time when the law is being put for review anyway. Because this is the time when you can actually change something. You cannot change things if you do it before, you cannot change things if you do it afterwards. This means an ECI should launch 1 year before the law you want to change, or in the case of the EU, the regulation or directive you want to change, is coming up for review anyway. Because then you know that 1 year later you will just get into this time frame where you can change this law. Obviously, this is not so much the case if you're talking about something completely new, like, for example, Klaus, who proposes something completely new for the EU. This is not so much of an issue. But if it's an issue that's already being regulated, this whole timing and planning is absolutely crucial. Now you have to add to this the preparation time it takes. This obviously depends on the budget. This depends on the network you have. But normally you'd have to calculate that you need about 1 year of preparation time. For example, I mean, if you want to build a network, this means you really have to write lots of emails, do lots of phone calls, meet lots and lots of people. This is how you build a network. And this you have to do in advance. Then you have to think about fundraising as well, which is also one of those issues where most people say, normally, when you start fundraising, you have to allow for about a year until you actually get lots of funds in. Then we have issues about, you have to check whether your issue is admissible. I mean, for some issues that's easier and faster. For some issues this can be quite complicated. And then we have the whole issue of the website and the online collection tool, which at the moment is a very complicated and costly issue. And we'll hear about this in the afternoon very much in detail, and then you'll see why at the moment, if you don't have really a year or maybe even more time to prepare, then, well, this is really going very hard to be possible. Actually, the best time frame for an ECI here is what would be marked in red, in fact. And then this is why mainly we didn't do an ECI, even though we had a network, we had budget plans, we had the campaign planned. The timing didn't really fit. Because you see, for roaming, actually, on the day after the first ECI, Fraternité 2020, was registered, a day later, the European Parliament voted in favor of the new roaming regulation, and it was clear on this day that there would be no review of the roaming regulation until 2016. And this was where we said, okay, we're not going to do it because at the moment, well, yeah, it's not perfect. Okay, next slide, please. Now the question is, what does this mean for the regulation here? Now, first of all, preparation time is something that's not really considered, is my feeling. Think about this. If you run an ECI, you have to collect 1 million signatures. Collecting 1 million signatures means you have to collect 2,700 signatures every single day for 365 days. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. And in fact, you'll probably have to collect even more. So this means that on the day you launch your ECI, you should really be set up for the launch. Everything should be in place, and everything should work just like a click of a button. If this is not the case, and you spend time after registering your ECI with technical issues, with planning, with networking, whatever, you're losing important time for things that you could have done in advance. This is also a problem with the whole registration procedure, because if the registration procedure is intransparent for organizers, and you have to be able to know what's going on in the Commission. Basically, you have to be able to know if there are issues with admissibility for ECI. You have to be able to correct them. You should have the ability to have a specified launch date agreed in advance, maybe. All those things, if they're not possible, then from an organizer's point of view, you're somewhat at the mercy, basically, of the Commission. Imagine you plan a huge press conference because you're sure your conference, your initiative will launch on a specific day, and then 2 days before you get the letter that for some reason it's not admissible. This means you have an issue, because I mean you cannot do a launch conference, you cannot do anything. You have to go in front of the media and say, well, sorry, we invited you for nothing. And well, also it should be possible to set up the registration tool in advance. So this is also something that has to be talked about, because if you can only set up the online collection tool after registration, you lose months where you cannot collect online, even though your initiative is admissible. I mean, this is really not explainable to me. Why this is the case. So, okay, to make it short, registration has to become more transparent, has to become plannable, and it has to become projectionable for the organizers. And in general, I would say proper preparation and timing are absolutely crucial, and the rules for the ECI have to allow us to do so. Otherwise, from a campaigner's point of view, it's hardly usable, really.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bengt Beyer, also for your concrete proposals. I now have to apologize another time. I'm happy to introduce Anna Gorey, that I didn't introduce in the beginning. Anna Gorey here on the panel for the ECI High Quality European Education for All. Anna, please. And excuse me. Yeah, it's on. It's on. You just speak.
Thank you very much, Harold. Yes, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Anna Gorey, and I'm president of MEET, which is a new association we created specifically for running an ECI. And MEET stands for Movement Towards a European Education Trust. And just as the ECI didn't fall out of from one day to the next, nor have the issues we've been working on suddenly appear. We've been working on these issues for many years, and we felt that with this new tool, it might be a good vehicle for us. So our initiative is on... Alex? Yeah. Okay. Our initiative is on Europe's future depends on education, how to educate citizens, how they learn. Common education goals reflecting EU basic values should be at the heart of a solution to today's challenges. So we have asked in our proposal, which was accepted, we're the 8th registered ECI, to establish a multi-stakeholder discussion and collaboration forum where parents, teachers, students, etc. Can come together and discuss education. In addition, establish a roadmap actually on the implementation for this. So a year before, in June 2010, sorry, Alex, next one, please. we began to discuss the idea of using the ECI as a vehicle for what we were already working on. And then what we did is we set up in December 2010, once the regulation had been adopted and once we were clear at least on what the rules were going to be, we established MEET, and we had a certain number of founder members. Thanks. In June and May, of course, up until then, we've spent a lot of time following the proposal, learning about the Citizens' Initiative, also in defining our petition, which is very important, establishing a campaign team, and finalizing our strategy. And for political, symbolic reasons, we submitted ours on the 9th of May. And of course, we weren't thinking, were we ready, were we not ready, we just wanted to go ahead for that. We had our initiative officially recognized on the 16th of July, and you'll see, and I'll explain later a little bit about the issues with that slight delay. We just had, on the 14th of September, our General Assembly, and of course there's a few important steps coming up now which involve signing the agreement with the Commission. We've been attending the meetings on the online collection system, the certification in Luxembourg, and a lot of these other details still to sort out, and a kick-off campaign in December. So when we set up, we had 12 founding members of 7 different nationalities. To form the Citizens Committee, which is actually for the official part, nothing to do with the association, but obviously for the official regulation side, finding everybody in different member states. Now, we may have many different nationalities, but they're not necessarily residing in those states. And we've got a campaign team, small campaign team, and some thematic and country coordinators. So what were the challenges? Of course, the important thing about the ECI is that it is transnational. So that has quite a few implications in terms of how you have meetings. You're all living in different countries, how everybody can manage to get together without really having any funds. And of course, agreeing on the exact formulation of the petition. So that was a little bit of a challenge. Understanding the ECI, that's another challenge, because we're just citizens, even if we think we might be slightly above the sort of person in the street. But the concept and the political aspects have to be thought about. And of course, the technical and legal responsibilities are really quite serious and need to be thought about by the group. So I mentioned one of the challenges were our residency requirements. We had initially 2 people on our Citizens Committee from the Commission. And they, of course, not knowing their internal regulations, their residency must be near where they work, and therefore they were not eligible as for the different country residencies that we needed. As we were a very big group of people, the difficulty had been choosing which 7 to choose, rather than not having enough people to be on the Citizens Committee. So it was very easy to replace them with other members of our association. That would be, so that was no problem, and we thank the Commission for their understanding, and that accounted for the slight delay between our request and acceptance. Since the ECI was accepted, we had a resignation of one of our Citizens Committee. And again, that's sort of something unexpected for personal reasons. So again, no problem in finding the replacement, and that is now, I think, underway. But quite fortunately, we haven't collected any signatures, because had we collected any signatures, that might have posed an additional problem. Who knows? One last challenge, I think, is having the ECI translated into the different languages. As you know, on the official website of the ECI, it is literally 2 paragraphs, and all we have at the moment is it in English, which really I don't think is very helpful to many people that might be looking on the site. And of course, the biggest challenge is the 1 million signatures, which, well, we'll see how far we get with that. Alex, we had not really a funding strategy as such, and this all sounds terribly premeditated and organized and preparation and all the rest of it, but actually I think in reality it's something that is much more organic. Because we were already a wide group of people in associations, many associations working on the issues of education, bringing them together under this vehicle of the ECI to work together to establish a platform was really not so difficult. And we have a number of pledge partners that donated €1,000 each. But we also tried a funding application under the Europe for Citizens program, and that didn't work. So what was good about that was that it helped us establish new partners and really focused our campaign around a group of citizens conferences, which in fact, in view of the European Year of the Citizen next year, works, I think, very much in tune with everything that we are doing to emphasize the citizen. If you look on our website, you'll see the pledge partners. It's €1,000 each. We have tried to keep everything as flat as possible. There is no one person more financing more or more dominant. It's very much a flat group. So their goal, if we can just move forward, Alex. These are the citizens conferences, which is easier to organize our ECI campaign around. Instead of just the big issue, we are looking at the issue from individual perspectives of the different associations we're working with. And the next slide is just to sum up really what we are trying to raise the signatures for. Have your say in the future of education in and for Europe. Sign the ECI and join the platform. So we're just currently reaching out to all associations and networks who might wish to be a partner in such an exciting initiative. And I think that together we can manage to raise the 1 million signatures. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna Gorey. And now we come to Simone Bronscute for Fraternité 2020, Fraternité 2020.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am very glad to be here this morning and to represent the first European Citizens Initiative, Fraternité 2020. Of course, I'm more glad that Gerald Hefner is sitting next to me because he is one of our supporters and he helped us also organize the first press conference in Brussels a few months ago. I also prefer a very short PowerPoint presentation. First of all, I would like just shortly introduce for the people who never hear about Fraternité 2020 the main goal and idea of our Citizens Initiative. Our goal is to enhance European Union exchange programs such as Erasmus or European Voluntary Service in order to contribute to a united Europe based on solidarity among citizens. Making these exchange programs more attractive will enable more European Union citizens to spend time in another country state and to find out what a united Europe means for them. Shortly, what is the main goal, the idea of our Citizens Initiative? We would like to make more funds available for European Union exchange programs, as I mentioned before, Erasmus and European Voluntary Service. Making sure programs develop more skills among the participants. Tracking progress in the field of mobility through better monitoring of these programs for young people. We believe that European Union needs to refocus its integration efforts on the level of individual European citizens to build a European Union of people, not states. And also we believe that this initiative would be very, very useful for economic, social and cultural issues. The next slide, please. So also, thanks to this initiative, the young people, they could upgrade their personal skills and also to learn new language in order to find a job maybe in another country. And also this program would be broader, not only for the students, but also for young people who don't have a job, because now European Union faces a problem like high youth unemployment, particularly in the south or in the East Europe, like Latvia, Estonia, etc. So this initiative would be very useful in order to decrease rates of youth unemployment. The next slide, please. So the main point I was told to represent challenges, how we came up with the idea to register this initiative. First of all, the most important thing is to have an attractive or interesting idea of the initiative. We decided to register this initiative because it's target young people and European citizens. And also it's important for youth unemployment, and also for young people, enable them to discover what is European Union, etc. Because now we always talk at the European level, but we never approach average citizens. Maybe the most challenging thing after we have this European Citizens Initiative registered on the 9th of May, it was the first initiative, it's how to make it visible and to get support, how to raise awareness of our initiative. At the moment, we have about 100 NGOs which are in favor of our Citizens Initiative, and also we have some academics from Cambridge University, European University Institute, and other universities from Germany, Austria, France, Belgium, etc. This support is also very important because this is give opportunity to participate in conferences and the seminars to represent our initiative. On the other hand, not all organizers, like here in Austria and Vienna, can cover our travel expenses. We are the group of 50 citizens, students, young academics, and activists, so not all of us can afford this travel, for example, to Malta or to Spain, etc. So also it depends on the financial support from our supporters. Why it's useful? Another point, why it's useful, because also we can reach people who are really interested in European affairs, and then they can see in reality how this initiative works. Also, as we have many supporting NGOs like JEF, Europa Union Deutschland, or Erasmus Student Network, AG, and other local students, associations, etc., it's make this initiative more visible. At the moment, we have more than 2,500 likers on the Facebook. It's a lot, but on the other hand, when you need to reach around 1 million European citizens, it's not a lot at all. On Twitter account, we have about 500 followers. Also, we are dealing with this challenge and problem, how to use social media, how to make this initiative more attractive for young people, because our initiative targets mainly the young people. And also, as Madame Gorey said, we have the same problem with singing online, because we want to collect signatures only online. And also IT service providers, we're also waiting for European Commission help, etc. We're also very grateful for the European Citizens Action Service and Gov2U, who always advise and support us how to find the solution as soon as possible, because also there is a problem when you have supporters, they every time ask when we can start signing online, because also we contact media like Cafe Bubble, Euroactive, etc. And the people also, they get annoyed if you don't come back to them with solution. But else, and also before starting collecting signatures, we started also translating our website in 23 languages. So far we have about 17 languages, and in the next weeks we try to have in all European languages. It's also everything we do by ourselves. And very often question I am asked, how many money so far we spend on this initiative. We spend only 50 euro for our website. Everything we do by ourselves because we are idealistic, we are all volunteers, and all these translations, sometimes we go to meet people, different organizations, associations, universities, etc. we do by our own. It's we who decide. It's us who take this initiative to go and to meet people. But of course, as I mentioned before, we face these financial problems if we don't have any support from hosting organizations. Thank you a lot.
Thank you very much, Anna Pronskute, and I directly pass to Gaël Drion from the ECI Responsible Management of Waste.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
The mics are open all the time, so
First,
speak.
excuse me for my approximate English. I try to explain you the project. So I speak to you about citizen management responsible waste project. Next, please. This project is making by two citizen organizations, a local citizen organization for a well project for a city, and a little French citizen organization for working for participation of citizens in the public decision process. Next, please. It seems important to return to the genesis of this act and project to well understand the meaning. It began following a decision of implementing an incinerator in the city. What is important here is not if you are for or against incinerators, but this is how the decision was made. This public decision was taken despite strong citizen and local elected mobilizations against, despite advice against independent experts, despite the absolute rules of precautions for health and environment, despite an underlying trend in Europe to remove incinerators and waste reduction. This decision appears to citizens and local elected, as an unjustified decision for the benefit of a few, the waste industry. This initiative is now the only legal action to give a legal power to citizen resistance faced to policymakers. Next, please. This citizen initiative is an act of citizen resistance. The initiative is supported by a common destiny that wants to make sustainable choice, preserving its common property. As such, the initiative is very original compared to other actions made by special interest and supported by powerful lobby. This project is the expression of the need for a new democracy, the need for new rules and tools for participation citizens, simply tools and simply instruments. With this initiative, starts with a local problem, we tried to produce a comprehensive European text and imagine a European policy on the subject of waste to harmonize and jointly advance the community of European citizens. The initiative proposed several principles, executed very simply about the management of waste. The text was produced by 7 citizens. It's important to say that these 7 citizens and any European citizens were able to find ways of thinking about the human problem by acquiring the necessary knowledge in different networks or information events. ECI is very simply, rules is simply, but it asks a lot of energy and time for citizens. This is because we make a few months to find and motivate 6 other citizens. But we can say the ECI could be used by anything who have an idea, and there's a lot of difficulty today to arrive on the collecting system. Excuse me. Next. In my opinion, the ECI is the really public of these European rules is a citizen, and it's important to identify the problem for simply citizen. The most important is to have a signing tool online, because I'm a citizen and I do it. I make this project the night after my job in my kitchen on my old computer, and I need a simply website tools. Second problem, the role and the power of citizens today in our society is not recognized. I have no contact, no response about elected and media. And I'm a citizen with ID. We are citizens with ID, 7 citizens, and we worked for it. We have a lot of energy, but 7 citizens are nothing and nobody face to administration, journalists, and other organizations. And I think it's the second most problem for the ECI and for democracy in general. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Gaël Drion, and we directly pass to Vincent Chauvet from the ECI One Single Tariff.
Guten Morgen, meine Damen und Herren, und danke schön für die Einladung. Danke sehr auch, Bengt, für die Organisation. So we represent the One Single Tariff Initiative. That is, as Bengt perfectly stated before, for the background about roaming fees when you phone from abroad, what you pay and what you don't pay when you phone to a friend in your own country. As Bengt remarkably explained, there's no review planned of this regulation until 2016, and we think it's inappropriate to wait that long to have something changing as regards roaming fees. First, I would like to say that an ECI is really easy to start. It's so easy to start, but so hard to go on and to put into practice. But there, I'd like to thank the Commission and also Charlotte Rive here. I heard a lot of criticism, but I think without the Commission's support and Charlotte here, we would have surely withdrawn or given up the project probably a long time ago. Because our initiative is not so much about roaming. It's true, it's a big issue, and we lose every month a lot of money in this topic, but it's mostly about European democracy. We wanted to be one of the first to introduce this new form of participatory democracy. We're not roaming geeks or what at all, just students, or at least we were last year when we introduced the initiative. And we are moved by the idea of European democracy, European integrations. Some of us, were activists with the Young European Federalists, for instance. And so we have no money, although we are going to work with a company formed by students, and who said the business plan, which is interesting, is to raise funds for initiatives, and they proposed that. So we're really really enjoyed this partnership. We have only volunteers, in about a dozen of volunteers in Brussels, mostly students and Erasmus friends. Also in some countries, and we've gained support thanks to events like this. For instance, in June there's been a conference in Paris about the ECI, and we met there Henri Malos, who's going to be the next president of the European Social Committee, Social and Economic Committee, and who's going to be our first supporter when we hopefully begin the online collection system. And if you want to join us, we recruit volunteers. If you want to join us, you have our personal mails on the Commission website. So yeah, it's going to be somewhat complicated, but I would be optimistic about the outcome of this process. I've heard just before about one of the speakers' grandmother not knowing about anything about the ECI, but I can tell you that, for instance, here I'm here in Vienna a couple of days thanks to Couchsurfing, the network of couch surfers, and every time I go and I speak to people, they know some. Well, I would say a majority of the young students know about these new tools. I think it's part of the European law courses now. It's been part of them since the Lisbon Treaty went into force. And I think it's going to be quite easy to raise awareness, because when we speak about this topic, the guys say, "Cool, das ist genial. Please go on," and you can see their eyes sparkling. About the prospect of not having to pay any more roaming fees, and we think Europe should just be about that. Stars in the eyes. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much also being for brief and precise. Now I pass to Magister Robert Stein, the head of the Department for Electoral Affairs here in the Austrian Ministry of the Interior, and the one who is responsible for the ECI implementation in Austria. So what are your assessments, your experiences? What's your view?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. At first, many thanks for the invitation. It's a great honor for me to be on a panel with people representing ECIs, and I am among them now and can give you the point of view of an administration. I want to start. I have some good and some not so good issues. You will see. Next slide, please. In the car production, it is called just on time, and so it happened in Austria, the start of the ECI. The ECI Act on the national level went into force just on time on the 1st April 2012. It was maybe or surely more difficult than in other member states, because the implementation has needed a two-thirds majority, has needed adoption of the Austrian constitution, but in the end it's a benefit for the ECI in Austria, because the adoption of the constitution causes that there is a right protection by the Constitutional Court, which I regard as rather important. Just on time, Austria has notified the designation of the competent authorities, and we have raised up the necessary infrastructure, but anyway, we started to raise. The certification, and that's the issue I will speak to you in the next 5 minutes. The certification is possible in Austria any time, but Fortunately, unfortunately, I cannot say. In the moment in Austria, no ECI took the effort to make a certification in Austria. The verification of statements of support, we are developing an application, and the deputy head of my department, Mr. Gregor Wender, on the afternoon will bring you some details in his afternoon presentation. So, next slide, please. The competent authority of certification in Austria, and I think that it's a good solution, is the Federal Election Board, the so-called Bundeswahlbehörde. It's not a monocratic authority, but it's an authority, it's a commission nominated by the political parties represented in the Austrian Parliament, and there are, besides that, 2 judges. Of course, the certification of an online collection system will be according to Article 3, paragraph 3 of the regulation. In Austria, an interesting detail, different to some other member states, the Federal Election Board draws it into an institution according to paragraph 19 of our National Electronic Signature Act, and that means that a special unit, the ASIT, the Secured Information Technology of Austria, will be in the moment the one and only authority to make this certification. It's logically, and of course, that the online collection system must comply with Article 6, paragraph 4 of the regulation, of the criteria of the Commission implementing regulation, you know. Next slide, please. Now, everybody of you know that by the 1st January of 2012, the Commission shall set up the text and thereafter shall maintain open source software. You can read it on the slide. Now, what happened? We made an effort, and we have been successful. We made a runtime version of this software. Of course, the software is only a part of the online collection system, but we tried it in practice, please. And testing it in Austria, it took us that there we detected major problems. You can read it, for instance, no plausibility check for the passport or identity card numbers, no possibility to enter addresses outside the EU. It was a very important problem, because an Austrian who is not living in the area of the EU wouldn't have been able to support the ECI. Then there are other details, no possibility to reload capture, no plausibility check of the date of birth under the minimum age, and no detection of duplicates. We brought those problems, we broadcasted it to the Commission, and the effect was a very positive. Many of the problems are fixed in the new version. My congratulation is that it worked rather quickly. We expected it would take months, but within a few weeks, the most important problems had been fixed. There are some problems we have broadcasted which are not fixed. Next slide. Oh, it is already. And it is announced that these problems will be fixed as soon. This is a very positive experience. But there are problems too. What is the situation in the moment? Obvious it is that it's very difficult for the organizers, and we heard it already on the panel, to get running the online collection system. As far as we know, until yesterday, only one ECI has been able to run the online collection system. Then we heard that Luxembourg jumped in to provide the environment for the first initiatives, and now the pity was the Commission position was broadcast to the ECIs that the Commission will postpone the deadlines of the regulation. It's this the big pity. You know that just on Tuesday it had taken place a meeting in Brussels, and the position of the Commission logical. The Commission wants to help the organizers, and they asked for a corrective interpretation of the regulation, which means that the Commission intends to extend the deadline for the collection statements of support for the first registered initiatives due to technical flaws, and it seems to be 1st November 2013. In the meeting on the Tuesday, an informal cooperation was suggested, but that's the big pity. The question is the legal basis. The regulation and the Austrian law for us is binding, and we have, it is how it is, we have no room for interpretation. Therefore, my conclusions, the first positive issue is ECI has come to life, and we have seen that. Then I can grant you Austria is well prepared for handling the first ECIs. Of course, the organizers need our support, but we have no possibility to break the law, not the EC law and not the Austrian law. We hope that the first difficulties should be overcome soon. Now we have 12, 11 or 12, I think it's 11 ECIs registered that are the first. And the postponing of the deadlines, then for the next ECIs who just now would be registered, they would the deadline would probably end afterwards, and for these ECIs there will be no difficulties. But we had a lot of discussions the last day since Tuesday. It is necessary to need this panel to speak about these problems. My personal hope is that the ECI becomes routine in the future as the 35 so-called Volksbegehren in the national Austrian law are routine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now Charlotte Rive from the European Commission. Charlotte.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be here today to hear the views of all the actors involved. Sorry. Yes, I'm very happy to be here to hear the views of all the actors involved. It's very important for us to have the feedback of all the stakeholders, and in particular of the organizers in this teasing stage, which is quite challenging for all the actors, including the Commission, of course. I had some elements of introduction, but I think we are all very familiar with the tools, so I think we can directly switch to the next one. Okay, so now we have to synchronize. Maybe I can do it because. Okay, so just a few words about the procedure. This is just to remind you how it works, and this will give me the opportunity also to answer to some comments that have been made until now. So wait a minute. So to start an initiative, you have to be 7 citizens residing in 7 different member states, at least 7. Then you have to register your initiative on the Commission website, and the Commission has 2 months to answer, to check that some legal criteria are fulfilled. At this stage, it's only a legal analysis. I will come back to this later because we are now getting experience with this phase. I heard earlier that it would be important for organizers to have an idea of when their initiative will be registered. It's true, and I understand that it's important in terms of communication to have an idea, and that's something we are currently considering. So we are currently considering to contact the organizers before registering, and if the answer is positive, of course, to tell them, okay, it seems that your initiative will be registered, so that we can coordinate with them which date would be better for them. This is also linked to the fact that organizers have to build their own system to collect online signatures. And this also, I would like to clarify that the setting up of this system and the certification can take place before the registration of the initiative by the Commission. So this means that if they know in advance that the initiative will be registered, they can start the process of getting their system certified, because it takes 1 month, maximum 1 month, to get the certification. So it's done by the competent authority in the member state where the data will be stored. Then once the initiative is registered, they have 1 year to collect in at least 7 member states. Then at the end of the process, they have to send all the statements of support to the competent authorities in the member states concerned, and the authorities have 3 months to check the signatures and give the corresponding certificates to the organizers, which allow them to submit their initiative to the Commission. And then there is an examination procedure foreseen in the regulation, which says that organizers are received by the Commission to explain their idea, their initiative in detail. Then they should be given the opportunity to present their initiative in a public hearing in the Parliament, in the European Parliament. And finally, the Commission should adopt a communication explaining what it intends to do, if it intends to take action or not, and the reasons for this. Of course, if the Commission decides to follow the initiative, the usual, the applicable legislative procedure will start. Now, concerning the state of play in the Commission, and more precisely what has been done in preparation for the implementation of the regulation. First of all, according to the regulation, the Commission had to adopt technical specifications for online collection. So these have been adopted in November 2011. So these technical specifications are the security requirements that the system should fulfill. In order to, the idea is that the system should ensure that the data are protected, are securely stored, and there are several other elements, but that's the main idea. Because of course organizers are collecting a huge amount of data, personal data. Then the Commission had to develop a software. We already talked about this. It was released in December last year, and since then several new versions have been published to improve it. Then the Commission had to set up a website, a register where organizers can launch their initiative. And there is also an interface between once organizers have registered their initiative, they have access to an account where they can do several actions, and in particular they can upload translations of their initiative. You can see already on the ECI website that several initiatives have already sent us many translations. These translations are checked by a translation team so that there is no manifest and significant inconsistencies between these translations and the original text of the initiative. And once it is checked, they are published. And from this moment, organizers can collect statements with the text of the initiative in this language. They can also, in the website, download the forms to collect on paper. So these are different things that, and they can also update, this is important, update the sources of funding and support for their initiative, because organizers must declare all funding above 500 euros per year and per sponsor. Then the Commission had to set up a point of contact. This point of contact is based on Europe Direct, so it's a service that you can call, you can write an email, and this you can do so in all official 23 languages. And the service is backed by the Commission services. When the question is complex or sensitive, then it's sent to our service. Then the Commission also published a guide, and posters. Posters were issued on the occasion of the 9th of May, so it was distributed for this occasion, so that it was distributed in the Europe Direct centers all over Europe, and also in the Commission representations. And so this was important to take the opportunity of the 9th of May to communicate on this new tool. And also the Commission organized in January a conference to take stock of the situation just before the entry into force, the entry into application of the regulation.
Charlotte, may I interrupt you for a short moment, because you already used all your time, and
I'm sorry.
I think that this is an audience where everybody knows about the regulation and all that. So what we want to discuss today is the assessment of how it works. Where are problems? What can we do? So if you could maybe use some time also for that, and then we start. Then we go into our discussion.
Yes.
Sorry for that.
No, I'm sorry, but it's the subject of my next slide. So
okay.
Okay. So now the first month. If you can go to the next one. Yes. So since the 1st of April, we received several initiatives for registration. It started on the 1st of April. We received 8 proposals on the first day. So there was a rush on the first day. Sorry. So on the first day we received 8 proposals already. So there was a rush to register on the 1st of April. But since then, we continue to receive new proposals very regularly. So it seems that the tendency will continue. So at this stage, there is only a legal analysis that takes place. There is no political consideration at this stage. So the ECI should not be manifestly outside the Commission's powers, not manifestly abusive, frivolous, or vexatious, and manifestly contrary to the EU values. So next slide. So far, we received 22 requests for registration. 11 have been registered. Actually, 12 have been registered, but 1 has been withdrawn since then by their organizers, unfortunately. And we had to reject 7 initiatives, unfortunately, because they were manifestly outside the Commission powers. The information on registered and rejected initiatives is published on the ECI website, so that people can have a look and see what's happening. Now I will just finish with the online collection and the difficulties that have been mentioned already by the panelists. So indeed, it has proven difficult for organizers to find affordable host providers on the market, because it's not only the software, but they have also to install this software on a host provider. And it was also very costly to provide the required documentation for the certification process. And given this situation, the Commission decided to take exceptional measures to help organizers. And so that's because they were completely blocked and couldn't start to collect online. So it has been decided that for a temporary period, the Commission would offer the possibility to have a system hosted on the Commission servers. But these servers are located in Luxembourg. That's why now organizers have to ask the certification to the Luxembourg authority. So we also directly help them with the documentation. The Commission produced all the documentation related to the hosting infrastructure, and now organizers have to produce their part of the risk assessment, but we are also helping them in this process. And as it has already been mentioned, the Commission decided to take into consideration the initiative that would collect statements of support for an extended time period. So, and what was mentioned before is the fact that member states' authorities will have to certify the statements of support at the end of the procedure. So we ask for the cooperation of the member states in order to certify the statements after the official 12 months. because this is to respect the spirit of the regulation. Organizers could not start collecting online, so we cannot just tell them, okay, the period will end normally, because they couldn't have the possibility to collect until now. So where we are now, the first initiative that will use the hosting by the Commission requested the certification of its system on the 2nd of October. So, and the next ones will follow. So we hope that very soon the first systems of these initiatives will be up and running. And now, if you need further information, there is of course the website. And I would like to mention that for all issues related to the online collection and to this process of hosting by the Commission, the documents are available on JoinUp, where the software has also been published. And finally, there is the point of contact that you can quote for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charlotte, and all panelists. Now we have time for discourse amongst the panelists and with the audience. I would very briefly say some words. I mean, if we are honest and if we speak frank, then this is a real mess. Remember that we announced to the citizens of Europe 4 years ago, nearly 5 years ago, we said the Lisbon Treaty will bring much more democracy. Citizens will have the possibility to raise issues, to have a say on their concerns, to make proposals and so on. So the European policy will be much more open, will be more in dialogue with the citizens. The ECI will be an instrument to have European-wide discourses amongst and with the citizens and all that. And now, in autumn 2012, it still doesn't work. I mean, what is this? And to be honest, I'm really angry about that. And I think this is not the way Europe should perform. If we promise something to the citizens, we should keep our promises. And I have little understanding. I really have little understanding for that. And please believe me, I have been involved in lawmaking on citizen participation and direct democracy, not only in Germany, in many of the German Länder, the German states, but also in a couple of other countries in Europe. I know about all the problems that can raise with that, and there is no one single problem that we didn't raise ahead. And where we proposed, please think about that, assess that, and so on. I mean, still the regulation is much better than it would have been if it would have just been the first proposal by the Commission. We reached a lot of compromises, but a lot of things we have to face are unsolved. And one problem, and please, Charlotte, this does not go against, but for you, one of the problems that I see is that there's the huge Commission with such a small stuff working on the ECI. And those people who work on the ECI, like Charlotte and Mario Tenero, they do a brilliant job. It's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. It's the fault of, I would say, the European Commission not giving any, not giving enough obedience, money, support to that. Just to inform you, I get all these informations by the initiatives. This doesn't work, that doesn't work. Then I quite often speak with, for example, Jens Niemann Christensen, with Maros Šefčovič, and so on. I asked them in spring, or after the regulation came into force, when the first initiatives informed us it doesn't work, the online collection system, to assess that, to solve the problem, but to not count the time, because you cannot say you have 12 months, but the time goes on, but you can't work with the system. So then they came up with this promise, okay, we will do the hosting for a limited number of initiatives and for a limited period of time, which is not very, I mean, you were talking about legal and constitutional questions. I would say in a regulation to say, okay, we now define some initiatives where we say we do the hosting, but for the others, they have to see how they solve the problem in the future. And this is limited time, but we don't tell you how much when the limited time ends. And all this is, how should I organize a campaign? Do you know what it means to organize a campaign European-wide? You need to have people in all the countries who do the job for you, and you always have to say, wait, we don't know when it starts and all that. Now they came up with this, not now, in June, we reached the compromise that the time doesn't count anymore, it stopped. I mean, we know that this is quite often has happened in Europe. European summits for decades have been meetings of men, powerful men that at midnight stopped the clock going on and said, now we hold on the watch, and so you call for another motorway, let's talk about that, and things like that. I don't want to be cynical, but we've seen that quite often in Europe. Now this is done with the European Citizen Initiative. And now, Magister Stein, please allow me to say this. Now Austria says, but in Austria, the time has to be counted. We go on with the time. We do not accept this European compromise in giving the initiatives more time. And this is only Austria who has this problem, and I have problems to understand the problem. Because the problem is not the problem of the citizens, it's the problem of the institutions, and all the other European countries found solutions how to pragmatically solve that, and I hope that this solution will be accepted and found in Europe too. And then the next thing is that I think we should assess within this conference the points where we can have pragmatic solutions, the points where we need to revise the regulation, and the points that stem from the treaty itself, where it's a problem of primary law and where we have to amend that. But I have now been a bit frank and direct, so I would invite Charlotte and Magister Stein to answer to that, and then we open. Let me add one other thing. I made an amendment for the budget of the European Commission within the European Parliament, asking for money for the ECI. And for me, that's not understandable at all, because also in the last year we asked for money, and in the last year my colleagues said no, because the Commission doesn't need money, because the Commission never asked for money. So they say it's enough to have this small amount of people working on that. We do not need more. So now I asked for more money, despite the fact that in the Commission budget, they do not provide more money. So, and my colleagues in the Parliament accepted that, because I informed them about all the problems, and they said it's impossible. We cannot accept this. There needs to be money to solve these problems, the hosting problem, the problem with staff and all that. And if there is a solution for the hosting problem, it must be one solution that fits to all. So not an amount of initiatives where we do the hosting, and for the rest, they have to see what they do. We have to solve the problem, which means there must be hosting without costs for the initiative. If it's so complicated, then it has to be done by the Commission. The Commission needs money for that. So the Parliament will decide on that by the end of this year. But up to now, the most important commissions in Parliament voted for that amendment. But still, I'm a bit... I question myself why the Commission itself seems to not want to get that money, to have that money, to make the ECI running, and to really tell the European citizens it works, and we invite you really to use it in order to have European debates and European proposals by the citizens. So now, yes, I see maybe Charlotte and Mr. Stein, and then Klaus Kastenhofer.
Yes, just to come back to this issue. Of course, it's the beginning. It's the learning phase. So we discovered that it's more challenging than expected, the online collection. But it's also a big innovation. So we should. I mean, it's normal, to detect problem at this stage, and I think we are all working together, the Commission and the organizers, to make it up and running as soon as possible. And we are ready really to help and to make it work. That's why also we accepted to extend the deadline and so on. As regards the resources, I just have to mention that, of course, my team is coordinating the process, but many people are involved in the Commission in this process. When we assess, for example, the registration of the initiatives, the services concerned are consulted, of course, because they are experts in the field concerned, the legal service. And I mean, there are many people around. Of course, as regards the software and the online collection, there is a team also in the Directorate General for Informatics who is dealing with this. And we have also the translators that check the translations. I mean, there are many people around this who are working to a certain extent on the citizens' initiative. Yes, it didn't work as expected. This is true. There are major problems with the online collection, but we hope that the problems will be solved. Yes, it is a temporary solution. This is not foreseen in the regulation, so we cannot just change it like this now. This hosting by the Commission. But of course, it will last until the conditions are different, until the offer on the market is better, until we have a more long-term solution to offer for this. We will not stop in the same condition. If it's needed, we will continue. The idea is to find now a more sustainable solution for the future. There are ideas like to launch a call for expression of interest, for example, across the member states, to have a list of host providers that would offer the service for a reasonable price. So these are among the ideas we are now considering for the future. Yes, and now, yes, as regards the extension of the deadline, indeed for us it was necessary. We could not just say to the organizers that the 12 months apply. And I really hope that we will find a solution with the member states that have problems to certify the statements, even in an informal way, because of course it's the Commission who commits to take into consideration this initiative and who takes this responsibility.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. Magister Robert Stein.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. At first, it's not true that Austria is the one and only country which has many difficulties to extend the deadline. In the meeting on Tuesday, it was obviously that at least one other country, one other member state has difficulties as well. The second,
could we say that they all have difficulties?
No,
but also those who raised the difficulties in the end said, okay, they will accept that solution.
Yes, very good. My position as the head of the department is I have to administrate Austrian law, and this is the answer to your question. If the Federal Parliament of Austria will say we change the law because the Commission tells us that we shouldn't keep primary European law, if this decision would be done, the Austrian law would be changed, then we as administrators, we will extend the deadline. But the problem is, my opinion is, the mistakes having been made, they happened much earlier. It would have been the duty of the European Parliament to make the regulation more smoothly and to make to implement a possibility to extend such a deadline if there are technical problems. This would unfortunately, that didn't happen.
We will, in every further future law, we will write, if there are technical problems, then the law doesn't apply. But I understand
what we did, and it was it. I'm only a spectator because I'm not the Austrian Parliament. It was, the implementation was difficult enough, and the Austrian law is a construction that keeps exactly to the letters of the regulation. And the question is now, for Austrian point of view, and maybe for other member states, very skeptically, will it be possible that the Parliament says, okay, we change the national law, and the question is, what is the legal basic on the European law? And we Austria was represented by 3 experts. The head of the delegation was Gregor Wender, but we didn't get an answer on Tuesday. What is the legal base for extending the regulation? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Klaus Kastenhofer.
Thank you, Gerald. In the beginning, I gave an impression from my personal experiences doing an ECI, but I would like to make some general remarks. If Gerald Hefner said that we are in a mess right now on the ECI side, then I would very much support that. We are in a situation that we have been told as European citizens, now you are part of a participative way of doing democracy. We have been told that. But I think we did not get the means to really fulfill our position. I think we are like in a country where there are not enough doctors, and you declare somebody a doctor. I'm a doctor by profession. Now you're a doctor, now you have to perform surgery. This is nothing, I think, from my point of view, which is going to work. From my point of view, the mess and what we are seeing right now is but the tip of the iceberg. Right now we are thinking about infrastructure problems, organizational problems. I think those are going to be solved sooner or earlier. Still, I think it's annoying for European citizens to be confronted with the problems and not the solutions, if they should be the solutions for filling the gap between the citizens and the European institutions on the other side. So I think this is the first thing what we are discussing now, because this is the starting point. But what we are not really, I think, in the beginning of seeing is the whole problem of awareness raising for an ECI is unsolved. And if there's no solution for that, then I think the bulk of the ECIs are going to fail in the future. I want to make an example. We have also a parliamentarian system of democracy. So I think that's fine for me. But if you go into election, and at least in Austria, and Mr. Stein can give us the exact numbers, if you get voted into parliament afterwards, for every vote, you get a refund for your expenses you had in the electoral process before. I think it's about 10 to 20 euro per vote, but Mr. Stein will know the exact numbers. So just that you get an idea that democracy only works if you fund democracy. You have to make people able to fulfill the part they are envisioned. So I think the third one, and this is might be the bottom line of it, is even if we solve that one, will the ECI in the end have an impact? I think this is even more of importance. Two people already talked about the 35 Volksbegehren we had in Austria so far. If you think about the impact of those 35 Volksbegehren in Austria, I think the bottom line is a disaster. We get less and less people wanting to do a Volksbegehren in Austria because most of them have no relevance at all. So I think this is a perfect example, not like it should be done, but like it should not be done. So we still have, I think, to think about how do we make this a meaningful instrument. And my suggestion on that would be, and I would like to be a proud citizen now being part of this participatory democracy. My suggestion for Charlotte Rief in this context would be, why not form something like a Sherpa group? A Sherpa group why we try to integrate those serious problems which make a sign that we made some mistakes in the beginning. We did give you hope, which we cannot fulfill right now. But we take that serious. We make, like a public statement on that. Try to integrate the people who have been the ones who invested huge amounts of time, money, what so on, in a frustrating way to take that serious. And now on we have a well-funded Sherpa group who tries to solve these problems. Because if we do not do that, I think it's very unfair how the responsibilities are dealt with within the different competencies within this instrument of ECI. Thank you.
Thank you, Klaus Kastenhofer. Only two technical remarks. One is there must be a mobile phone disturbing, must be close to a microphone, so maybe everybody sitting or standing close to a microphone could check these devices. And the other thing is, if you would agree so, we could extend a bit in time. We could go until 12:30. So to have a bit more time, I was informed this would be possible if you agree. Would this be okay for you? Okay, great. Then it's Anna Gorey and it's Vincent Chauvet, and then it's you. I already received the first yes, so please show up and I'll try to find you. Anna Gorey and then Anna.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Well, I'm very relieved to hear that the Austrian issues were dealt with very quickly with the Commission, and I hope that ECI issues are equally dealt with and solved. Two that we had asked for over a year ago was that we wanted to be able to register underage voters, because for our particular initiative it's very important to also be aware of this. Obviously not to count, obviously, in the number of signatures towards the million, but just to reflect it. Also non-EU members, so that anybody going to the ECI page interested enough in an issue and wishing to register their vote should have the means to do so without it being counted. So clearly it doesn't count, but it should there should be a possibility to register it. The other thing we had asked for was the possibility for anybody voting to make a little click against donating €1, for example. If this could be done centrally, it would solve a lot of the initiative's financial funding issues, because even though we can do that on our own web pages through visas and PayPal, etc., obviously the banks are taking in quite a lot of money. We know that with the Haiti effort, when people were donating lots and lots of money, the public pressure forced banks not to charge the charges, because obviously that was making them a lot of money. Also the same with the mobile phone companies when people just added a few euros onto their mobile phones. So I think that a centralized solution to that should be coming from the Commission on those two issues. So having had all the Austrian problems solved, I hope that the problems of the ECIs themselves can also be taken into account. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. Vincent.
Thanks. Just short word. One first remark about direct democracy and national authorities having problems implementing national democracy. I don't like criticizing my country abroad, but we have the same problem in France with, in 2008, a new constitutional rights about popular referendum being voted, and we're still waiting for the law implementing this new right. And if you don't have direct democracy, it's really important. If you don't have direct democracy, we see you have direct demonstrations on the streets, and that's why the Commission and all the national authority should take this seriously. Then two ideas, and you asked for practical solutions, maybe two ideas to solve certain problems. First, about the deadline problem, I think one possibility would be to withdraw our initiative and then resubmit them immediately, so that the Commission accept them immediately, and this would just extend the lapse of time we have, and the problem would be only to deal with the paper, the signature collected with paper, but I don't think it's a huge amount for now for any initiative. We don't have collected that much paper support, so maybe that could be an idea. And second, if thanks to your action the Commission has more money to put in the administration process, maybe we've heard that one of the problems is the translation of the initiatives, and since translators of the Commission are already involved in this process and it takes time, we submitted a translation of our initiative into French, and we had to wait it was in the summer, but we had to wait for that. Maybe just instead of just reviewing the proposals of the initiators, the translating team of the Commission could translate, if not the whole legislation, only the description, the 2 paragraphs that you see on the website. It's really short for every initiative, and it shouldn't take time and really make the life of the initiators easier. Thank you.
Thank you. I already received 10 demands to speak from the audience, so I would now stop there. And if we want to be able to, for these 10 all to speak up and to listen to all of them, we have to be clever and they have to be brief. So we begin with you. Please.
Thank you. I will be brief. One remark and one question. Do we have a microphone?
We do have.
I have one remark and one question. The question is to the Commission. It's very interesting having that central hosting, which we are certainly in favor of. The question is, what instruments have you been using to do that? Because that could be an avenue for other areas as well, when there is a lack of finding a decentral take-up to have a central hosting and doing that. So it would be very interesting hearing about what instrument you are using to provide this Luxembourg situation. The second one is a remark. I was quite concerned that a member of parliament is telling us don't take it too serious with what parliament is telling us. If we are going this direction, if you are telling we have a problem, it's good to overcome that problem, and I'm certainly in favor of extending the deadline. But there should be no way to go beyond legal situation, because the parliamentarians should be those who defend that borderline, not to tell us don't care about that borderlines.
Thank you. We start now with the left block, your right block, and Wait a moment. Yes, the first is Eduard Tetreau. Is it right? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have one suggestion, if I may, and one question for you and for the floor. The suggestion is the following. I think we have heard very good presentations. We have heard very good presentations. We have seen very good presentations. I think we all share many things in common, which is one, the desire for more direct democracy in Europe. Two, a more user-friendly or environment-friendly or a more fraternity-oriented Europe. And I wanted to make one technical suggestion to the organization. If we could actually share at least the participants list, share at least, because we are a group of people that in many ways share the same goal with different routes. I think it would very much help if we knew who is in this room, if we could share more, either giving addresses. And personally, I would be very interested in being able to access your excellent presentations that could be very helpful for the future initiatives that we may all carry in this room. So that's my suggestion. And my very direct question is the following. I think we have just seen that this doesn't work. That we have a big contrast between the desire for a practical, active, direct democracy to change Europe for the better, to reset it. But this ECI stuff just doesn't work. And we have been given evidence of that on the left part of the panel. So why don't we just say goodbye to all that and go more directly with more grassroots campaigns outside an institutional and technical framework that apparently is made so that these good initiatives will eventually fail.
Thank you. You're the next. I will always show you who's next, and you can already come close to the microphone, please.
Hi. I just wanted to briefly touch on the issues of hosting. First, the water ECI is currently not here, and they are at the moment the only approved ECI with an approved collection system. And I was just told by one of my colleagues who's actually been working on their tech setup that they are collecting signatures, but they're also losing a lot of signatures at the moment because there are still so many issues with the software, although it's been updated for like months. And most of these issues have been issues that we've raised already months back when we've been in Brussels and had a chat with the European Commission about these issues. And they're actually now losing signatures because of simple validation errors and ID card numbers that are simply not considered. This is a problem that could actually be solved quite easily, because if you develop software and you do decent unit testing on this software, then you will also be able to produce a software that does work. Thank you.
Sorry for interfering, just an organization point. We have a panel on just the online
Yeah.
tool issues. We should not.
That's right. Yeah.
Really use the time now.
Did you all hear that?
Chair, point of order. Is it possible, please, for contributors from the floor to identify themselves?
It is.
To identify their names and organisations when they speak. I'm Justin Greenwood from the Robert Gordon University, Aberdeen.
Thank you, Justin. The next person is, yes, behind there.
Hello to everyone. My name is Margareta Stubenrauch. I represent I'm working at the Austrian Ministry of Environment, and there are many environmental initiatives on the way. I understand all the technical problems about the online collection system, but I would like to pose a question to the representatives of the initiatives. Hardly any one of them can be signed in the old-fashioned way. So you have no possibility to print out a form, to sign it, and to send it to you, because almost every one of you has the excuse, we are very sorry, it cannot be signed yet, we are waiting for the online certification system. And in the meanwhile, I could print out pages and go and collect signatures in the street. at least in theory.
Thank you. Now, no, behind. Yes, thank you. Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you to organizers for this organization, because simply this is the way how to bring European Union really closer to the citizens for interesting contributions. I have two questions to Mrs. from the European Commission. Pardon?
He asked for your name and...
My name is Dusan Šoltes. I am Comenius University Bratislava.
Okay.
I have just two questions to representative of the European Commission. You mentioned that 7 applications were rejected. Could you tell us what were the reasons? This is always good to know, what was the reason why they were rejected. And one question is such hypothetical. We know all, specifically in the Eurozone countries, that we are now in very deep crisis with Euro. We know also who is responsible. It is not only member states, but also, unfortunately, some institutions, especially European Commission, is a guarantor of the treaties. If the criteria for Euro were in the Maastricht Treaty, there was no problem to send to the court any country which was not meeting this criteria. So my question is, if we would like to create such initiative which would be controlling somehow European institutions, if they are really fulfilling their duties, is it acceptable or it is anti-European? Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a concrete question. I would anyway propose that we collect the questions and answer to them later in order to have enough contributions, enough possibility for contributions from the audience. So this would mean that Charlotte, you take notes and we go on. Where is he? He just left. Okay, we come back to him later. Then we go to the right side. No, you're later. I can't read what I wrote. So I give you the floor. I know you were the first. Thanks a lot. You were so polite. You are the first.
Hello, so my name is Charlotte Nolan Mathiessen, and I'm representing SIGN. Which I will explain what is. And so first of all, I would like to submit to reflection here an idea. So a pragmatic solution, as you said. And that solution would answer 2 of our problems, which is the money problem, and on the other hand, the collection system problem. So in a big way, the hosting without cost problem. Instead of having a lot of NGOs supporting initiatives and having always to get in contact with the NGOs, maybe one idea is to think outside of the box of NGOs and think, why not have enterprise behind the support of initiatives? It's a very far-reaching idea because, well, why should an enterprise do that? But you should think in a social enterprise kind of way. So an enterprise would have the money because it has the possibility to, it has the possibility to get money through business angels or incubators and investors to get more money, and this money can then go to the initiatives. Plus, then this enterprise will be only addressed for the initiatives, so it will contact. Its only role is to contact funds and NGOs to get the money and do the jobs for the citizens. So the citizens don't really need to do the job, it's somebody who does it for them. And then, in addition, to develop with this money an online signature collection system to replace the Commission, because it's not the role of the Commission to do that, to replace the Commission and have it a simple website for that. So that's the proposal, and yeah.
Thank you. Now, and please don't forget to say name and institution. Yeah.
Yes, Alexander Balthasar, Federal Chancellery of Austria. I want to address the issue of the legal aspects of the moratorium. I would say, of course, we have a principle of legality, but we have also a principle of rule of law, which must not be the same. As a general principle of law, we have, for example, the prohibition of venire contra factum proprium, which means that one cannot refer to to a provision in case one has done anything to hinder the effectiveness of that provision. And that means in the final stage, when it comes to court will not only look to the legal act, to the secondary law, but also to the principles behind that. And we had in Austrian Constitutional Court already a case where a too rigid time limit was found to be unconstitutional. So I understand the position of the Commission. What the problem is that courts may ask other courts in the procedure of reference, for example, but it's not possible for the Commission as an administrative body or for the Ministry of the Interior. So anything they can do can be contested and is wrong. But perhaps one should keep in mind that constitutional principles are more valid than secondary law in that respect.
Thank you. The person right next to you. Thank you very much.
Alexander Prosser, University of Economics and Business Administration, born March 8, 1964, male, Caucasian. I hope I have identified myself sufficiently. I have a very simple question to Madame Rive. The only ECI that's currently collecting signatures or support declaration is, I think, Right to Water. Are they using the current version of the Commission software?
Can I report in the afternoon on this point, because this is special, it refers to the tool and have a lot.
All I need is a yes or no.
They are desperate, okay? So,
Okay, we come back to that in the afternoon, but still we heard the question. If panelists want to answer, they can. Now it's, yeah.
My name is Marek Blahuš and I'm representing the European Esperanto Union. Our organization has submitted a proposal to give the European anthem words in a language which is neutral so that it doesn't belong to any member state. And our proposal was refused exactly on this basis that the language is not promoted by any member state. We think that the Commission has misinterpreted our proposal, which was not to support any language, but to promote European identity by giving words to the anthem. I have heard from Mr. Kastenhofer that I think they managed to get some internal documents from the Commission to understand better the reasoning behind the decision of the Commission. So I would like to ask if there is any possibility to do so if we don't understand and we think that we have been misunderstood. Thank you.
Thank you. Klaus Sambor.
Yes, thank you, Klaus Sambor. I'm a representative of the rejected unconditional basic income proposal. But we will try it again and we will succeed, I hope. But that is not my question. My question is the following. I have in the list of rejected, I read the next one, 1 million signatures for a Europe of solidarity. That is rejected. And I find only the paper with the reason, which we always find, manifestly outside the Commission's power. Yes? And no idea what is the proposal itself. The proposal itself is not on the website. Only this sentence, it is rejected. So I think that is not really transparent. But my real question is, at one point in time, you would estimate that this stupid sentence, that it must be manifestly outside the Commission power, would be deleted. So no citizen can make a proposal which is, I've heard at the beginning, that you have said implemented or amended. We as citizens want amended the treaty. Because if the Commission want to do something within the treaty, they can do it. They don't need any citizen. But if we are not satisfied with what is happening in the politics in Europe, then the citizens must have the possibility to say something. Thank you.
Thank you. The next is, yeah.
Thank you. My name is Rudolf Dangl, and I am merely a citizen. And I got the impression that we, on one hand, we are considered as subordinates, and sometimes we behave as subordinates. I myself, as a citizen, I understand myself as the sovereign, and maybe, tell me if I'm mistaken, but we are the last authority, and that means we are the boss, and we normally bosses do not ask their employees if they might be inclined to do this and that. They give orders. So please enlighten me.
So we come to the real basic question now.
Who is the other?
Yes.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, I wasn't really on Mr. Hafner's list. I'm really happy that the chairman still let me speak. My name is Danny Kastelin, and as I'm part of the last authority, or the final. I'm also a normal citizen here, and I don't represent any organization. Therefore, I noted some remarks. So I'll be very short. Because after all, this is an assessment, and therefore I assessed a little bit. I would like to go to discuss some things. None of you actually presented their project. In their preparing phase, I didn't hear that they were checking if some other organizations or other people were interested in their kind of proposals. For Mr. Kastenhofer, about Friends of the Earth, I'm sure there are plenty of other organizations that are having the same issue on their agenda. So I didn't hear anything about that. Did you work with them? Are you going to work with them? What will you do? We have two almost similar projects, Mr. Byers and Mr. Jovet, and I knew about it already before. Even that they before knew it, that they were having these projects almost. I'm joking a little bit, but I heard from Mr. Bayer in Salzburg, and then I went to a conference in Paris, and I learned from his project, and I learned that both didn't really know about it, or I didn't really get it really, because they were exactly the same as far as I got it. And then another question that's related to that is, if you launch a project and you check out who is interested in it, you should also check what is the right tool to get my message across. And I think to launch a project because you want to launch an initiative, it's not the right way. It is you have an idea and then you have to look what is the right way to get that idea across. I think there are many tools that you can use. And I know we're in the very early stages of direct democracy, and there will be probably new tools that will be developed. And please be creative and do not always focus on one idea or one tool that can be used. I think that's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but time will tell. There is another thing about, I think it's also very important. That is, if one talks in a conference here, that you keep in mind that Mr. Hafner and is already long busy with direct democracy, but it's a small group of people. I think it's really needed to get these messages across to the mainstream. And I don't think only the Commission should do that. I think NGOs have a very important role to play. And again, I didn't really feel like they were taking that in account. They were saying we need money for advertisement and all that. It's not always a money issue. It's also an issue of ideas. And I think NGOs really have to think out of the box, as the lady says, although I didn't get her idea, but the out-of-the-box thing I like, in the sense that sometimes you have to go outside a little bit your organization and think, okay, what can I do? And how can I get my message across? And I think NGOs, like Friends of the Earth and others, I don't feel it that they're doing that, and I think it's very important. And I don't think you should ask the Commission to help them up with that. I think they should, first of all, think themselves about it. Maybe I'm wrong, I'm a little bit rude, or a bit, I don't know, but that's what I think.
Okay, thank you very much. The last question is yours.
Hello, my name is Martin from the Young European Federalists. And my question is if there's any further support measures planned when it comes to publicity, to information on the accepted and the registered campaigns. Because from what I saw so far and what we received as information on ECIs that were accepted, it's mostly handed in by informal networks and informal groups, which in a way weakens the message and the ownership of the people that will afterwards promote the ECI. And that's why I would call also for institutional support when it comes to promoting these issues, especially when it comes to minority causes, because minorities will have a much weaker lobby to promote. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for your contributions and questions. It was more than 10 now, it was 12. I could allow the 2 additional ones because you all were very brief and very precise. I really appreciate that. Now we have a last chance for the panelists to answer. If I could ask you also to be brief, and we start with Klaus Kastenhofer.
I would like to respond on 2 questions. The first, because it was so directly going into my direction, the out-of-the-box question. Well, in the morning I try to get out of the box. Sometimes it's more difficult, sometimes it's easier. But to think outside of the box is really difficult. But I have a suggestion for that one. And it will also go into the direction of the lady over there. I try to put it together. I think the idea proposed by you is in the true spirit of neoliberalism. I think we should value that. But on the other hand, I am not totally sure if I would like to make myself as a citizen dependent on an agency or of an economy who provides me with the necessary funds to promote my idea. So what I would really like to see is that is to be done by institutions and not by economy, or also I do not want to, and I think in that regard we're on the same side, that it's the NGOs. I do not want to be, the alternative bureaucracy or the alternative idea signature collecting system. I think it has to be done by the institutions. And so my out-of-the-box idea for Charlotte Rief is you provide a database where all the citizens in Europe can get themselves registered and afterwards will get automatically informed if there's a new ECI, so that they can automatically sign or not. So I think it's a very cheap way to do it, and an alternative way of providing advertisement space. Still, I think there should be some space for advertisement space, because this is how a lot of ideas are being transferred to the general public. We should look, for example, at the agricultural, DG Agriculture, how much money in there is reserved to talk about CAP reform, for example. So I think to have such communication tools have defined and good space, but I think on the other hand, if we could have like a database of people who are interested in taking part in direct democracy, which will get automatically informed and automatically just say yes or no, sign or not sign, I think this would be a cheap alternative.
Thank you. Bengt?
Well, first of all, as there have been some organizational questions, I've been helping to organize the event. I think I may start with those. There was one request about sharing the participants list for this event. Sadly, this is not possible because some people specifically requested this not to be the case. So if you like to have contact to a specific person, please just get in touch with us and we'll look up the email address. Because at this event, this time we're not allowed to give out the participants list. I'm really sorry about this. We wanted to do it, but we can't.
And maybe we cannot discuss it in public, but couldn't we delete those who do not want to be on the list and have a list of those who accept or who want their address to be distributed?
We'll put up a sheet there, and everybody who wants to share ideas with the others of this conference, please give us your allowance that we can distribute it.
Okay.
Thank you. Also, there was a request about sharing the presentations. Yes. This we can do very simple. All the presentations we got, we can just send around. No issue there. And then why were the projects on this panel not introduced? This was actually because we specifically asked to concentrate on the issues, because this is a conference about the assessment of the ECI. This is not so much thought to be a conference about what ECIs are running. If you want to know what they are about, you can look that up. Actually, we are providing an information space for initiatives outside. So just right next to the entrance, there is a table with information materials, and I saw some initiatives brought information materials, so you can get it there. And just feel free to talk up the people if you want to know more. But as the issue of the conference today is assessment, this is what we are concentrating on, even on the panel. And now last issue that was raised. Why are there two initiatives about roaming for this case? And this is not just the issue specifically for roaming, but this is a general issue, because this could happen very easily at the moment, that several people have the same idea, but they don't know about each other, and they sign up independently from each other. Now, obviously, this is allowed. This is totally possible and legal and allowed, but it's not very effective. So, in our case, for example, I don't know. I've been trying to network with all organizations who are working on the issue, and all organizations I knew about. I just didn't know that an ECI about roaming was planned. Had I known that, I would have contacted them right away. So I think this is just, a coincidence, I would say. But it does raise an issue about whether or not we should try to set up some kind of space where initiatives can share ideas and build networks before they launch. This is what Euractiv tried to do with initiative.eu. And I mean, as far as I know, this still exists. I don't think they had as much success as they wanted to. But this is a problem of the initiatives. And here, I mean, how do you deal with this if the initiators themselves do not search for others in advance, if they only notice there are others after they registered? And I really don't know how to deal with this, because there is no, I mean, you cannot force them to search for others. So, yeah, I think this is something that has to grow out of experience and knowledge. But there's nothing we cannot force people to cooperate. Yep.
Thank you, Ben. Anna.
Yes. Thank you very much. Just on the issue of ideas, and I think I tried to make it clear in our presentation that many of us have been working on these ideas for a long time, and we are using all the tools at our disposition, and this is a new tool. It's also a tool, a vehicle, as we've called it, which is very much in the eye of the public eye at the moment, very much at the front of the agenda of the institutions. So it's kind of a sexy tool. Whether it's the right tool or not, I think we're discovering as we go along. But we're certainly not ignoring all the other possibilities there as well. And of course, if anybody would like to know more about the actual content of our initiative, I have brought papers, and I'm happy to discuss further with you on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Simona?
Thank you. I would
be very, very short. If you have any suggestions, critics, etc., you always can approach me. I can give you contacts of representative of your country, because we have representatives in every European country. So then you can approach us with specific questions. Talking very shortly, it was lady who mentioned the paper versions, that to go to the street, approach citizens, etc. I would like just shortly mention that before approaching citizens, we should prefer everything in their own language. Here, I am sure that all of us speak at least 2 or 3 foreign languages. I am originally Lithuanian. We are from the north. We are very skeptic like Danish people, the lady who proposed to be out of the box. How to approach them, how to prepare everything. If you go to the street, you ask even politicians, local politicians, they say Brussels is so far away. We are facing financial crisis. We are not interested in Europe and Brussels and all this kind of affairs. And also in the Baltic states, we have a huge Russian community. Russian is not official language. So how approach also these minorities? Because they are also citizens in our countries. I mean, we have all these programs before starting going to the street, etc. We want to be ready. We want to have all these translations of our website. We want to make, I don't know, booklets, flyers, etc. We want to also to have maybe small teams in every country that we can approach every citizens, not only academics, universities, NGOs, etc. First of all, of course, we need this help from universities, academia, NGOs, but then, of course, we will go to the streets to approach the average citizens, but we want to be ready that we will not fail with this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Simona. Gaël? Okay. Vincent?
Just an answer to the question of the honorable lady from the Minister of Environment about the online collection, not online collection system, but collecting them out of the online collection system with paper. It's a possibility, but personally, my house is too small to host 1 million paper collecting system. Yeah, but it's really it would be crazy to like 1 million. We should have a whole administration. Maybe the Austrian administration would help us to fulfill and to gather and to treat all the information. It's really I think, and the idea, Mr. Hefner, was to implement this new tool through the internet and through the website, and we want very much through Facebook or Twitter to have this, and only internet allows that, and that's why it's been launched now and not 20 or 30 years ago. Yeah, and possibly what we regret also from the collection system and stuff, it's going to be complicated to go from a website to the site where you collect signatures, and we think it would be more simple if you had just could put the form on your website, and then with a I like Facebook button, and then it would be much easier, but we'll see, and we'll see how we will do that. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Simon. Magister Stein.
Yes. Thank you. The Austrian government have made and still makes many efforts to support ECIs as we can. For instance, compared to other member states, Austria has spent relatively much money for the implementation. We are in discuss with other colleagues, and they say that from that point of view, we did a good job. Anyway, I hope that the problems will get a solution relatively soon, but I have to confirm